Master. Now it is only a matter of time before the sheath period is broken. The reason is that I can't catch up in the later stage. How did you get that out of the sheath period? Jiang Yu weighed the pros and cons in her heart. For the sake of the happiness of the rest of his life, I immediately made up my mind. You can rest assured. You look like a master slave. Since I'm going to be friends with you, you won't rob your favorite master. Absolute, Jiang Yu said as she spoke. The body is still a little scared, and unconsciously trembled. After saying that, Jiang Yu immediately ran towards the main hall. For the happiness of the rest of his life, the marriage must be withdrawn, unless you want to be unable to hold your head up for the rest of your life. Yi Qinyuan looked at Jiang Yu's hurried little back. With an innocent face, he said that he didn't say anything. Everything was misunderstood by himself. Jiang Yu walked into the main hall. See what Yuan Chu is like now. Is also speechless. The venerable master looks too small. And if I'm not mistaken, he's like this. It doesn't seem to be much different from 6 years ago. At the beginning of the year, this meeting was also fruitless because of the previous protests. Angry. This also makes the two protagonists. No one will say the first word. Made the atmosphere present a little embarrassing for a while. Jiang Yu in her heart also began to complain about the father who called him. Daddy is not a problem. Trying to find me a great one. Forget about the wife. But this is still a young little country. I really married back. Should you make offerings to the Buddha? That Yi Qinyuan is estimated to be a little wrong. Why did the lover fall in love with such a little bean sprout? I'm afraid I don't want to be a daughter. Yuan Chu was very opposed to this family business. This time, I saw Jiang Yu herself. It's how it looks and how it doesn't please the eye. Immediately followed by the next second. The two were in front of the two families. Said in unison, I didn't listen to this kiss. Yuan Chu said so. Mog listened to the wind without the slightest surprise. And the Jiang family heard Jiang Yu say this. I think it's weird. After all, the young master was not happy before. But there was no such opposition. Now what's going on? Could it be that the boy just told him something? At the same time, there is some hatred in my heart. 10,000 Swords sect, this is a good family matter. At the beginning of the Yuan dynasty, the venerable master was already a Yuan infant at a young age. The future is limitless. Why is the young master so brainless? Machi heard the wind and saw that the two villagers were of the same opinion. I breathed a sigh of relief in my heart. He coughed lightly and then started around. That being the case, then forget it. I hope you two can become friends in the future. Immediately after that, at the end of the period, listening to the wind and looking at Jiang Yu, I can't help but praise him for his witty choice. Although he chose him before, it's because looking at this child is simple and affectionate. But now Xiao Chu has broken through to the out-of-body period. This gap, it's not just a family affair that can make up for it. Besides, now he can't even take Xiao Chu's move. It is always impossible to fight after a husband and wife. Ask the ancestors of the Jiang family to come out and persuade you every day. The Jiang family who can follow Jiang Yu here. Not satisfied with the current results. After all, it's not easy for them to come all the way. It's impossible to go back like this. I want to struggle again. Let's see if we can make a difference. But in the tireless efforts of the two parties, and the tacit understanding of listening to the wind under the insistence, in the end, the matter was settled. When it's done, when Yuan Chu returned to Han Jianfeng, the whole person was almost exhausted and paralyzed. But tired is tired. But after this, the head uncle also knows his strength. It's not so easy to mess with the Mandarin duck spectrum again. After all, I want to find someone who can hold me down. Where is it so easy to find? But that's none of my business. Let the head uncle go and worry about it yourself. Then, suddenly the aroma of food wafted through the air. This made the cells in Yuan Chu's whole body excited. A pair of big eyes sparkling. The saliva almost ran down the corners of his mouth uncontrollably. It smells so good. Xiao Yuanyuan is not doing anything delicious again. Just as Yuan Chu was about to rush into the kitchen, see what's delicious when it's time, was stopped by Xiaoqiu, who was standing at the door. Xiaoqiu looked in front of him. Is still the reckless Yuan Chu. There was a smile on his face. Venerable Xiao Yuan said, "There will be a lot of good food today. Don't go over yet. Go inside the house and wait." Yuan Chu was obedient at this time. I went back to the main hall and waited for dinner. After all, the world is big. Eat the biggest. In the process of waiting, Yuan Chu chatted with Xiaoqiu, and then learned that the other party was going to cultivate. It doesn't seem strange. After all, Xiaoqiu is a cultivation maniac. At the same time, there is a little happiness. That's the case. It's all mine. But when the meal is served, Yuan Chu looked at the table of dishes in front of him. But I wasn't happy at all. Although these in front of you look delicious, but it's all sour. This made Yuan Chu not know how to put down chopsticks for a while. At this time, the last dish was missing from the table. This gave Yuan Chu a glimmer of hope. Hopefully this last one isn't sour. Can be Yi Chen Yuan. When the last dish is served, made Yuan Chu's illusions shattered in an instant. Looking at the sour table in front of him, Yuan Chu instantly felt that there was something unloved. If you eat it yourself, it is not necessary that all the teeth are sour. Followed by, looked up at his little apprentice with some confusion. Xiao Yuanyuan, is this a vinegar jar overturned? Yi Chen Yuan heard the master ask. There was no trace of abnormality on his face. It's very flat. Jing, that's right. So that's all there is to eat today. The attitude of the little apprentice suddenly let Yuan Chu's heart go up and down. Nervously, they put their chopsticks in their mouths and bit them. Could it be that Xiao Yuanyuan knows that I went on a blind date today? I'm afraid I'll find him a builder. No, how could he possibly know? This moment made Yuan Chu unable to find a clue. Then the reaction came. I didn't do anything. Why should the heart be weak? Then he stretched out his chopsticks and pinched the dish in front of him. At the same time, comfort yourself with vinegar. Eating more vinegar is good for your body. But at the entrance, in a moment, the sour taste almost made Yuan Chu cry. Yi Chen Yuan watched the master eat so hard. In the end, I couldn't bear it. Remove the dishes in front of the master. Master, these dishes are not delicious. Why do you still eat it? Yuan Chu saw the little apprentice ask. Lowered the chopsticks. I wondered how hard you worked. I'm sorry for you if I don't eat much. After all that is said, Yuan Chu laughed again. You can rest assured. Although the acid is a little sour, but it's still delicious. It's Yuan Chu's smile. Let those negative emotions in Yi Chen Yuan's heart. Suddenly it dissipated. At the same time, I feel like I'm really going on. What is there to worry about with the master? Then he waved his hand. 2 bowls of food that have already been prepared suddenly appeared in front of Yuan Chu. Well, it was all a joke with the master before. Master, it's good for you to eat this. I'll just eat these. Yuan Chu looked in front of him. Those 2 bowls of fragrant meals. Looked at Yi Chen Yuan again. The bowls were sour. I always feel like it's quite inappropriate. I couldn't help but say, or don't eat it. It's not good to get your teeth sore. At the same time, he secretly said in his heart that Xiao Yuanyuan had already opened the valley anyway. It's just to eat with me. There is no need to suffer like this. And Yi Chen Yuan heard Yuan Chu say this. Just a slight smile. It's okay. I just want to eat something sour today. After speaking, he picked up the chopsticks and clamped them down towards the acid in front of him. And it's bite after bite. Yuan Chu, who was on the side, couldn't stand it directly, took his bowl and walked directly to the little apprentice. Subsequently, put away the dishes that can't be eaten at all. Then put your own bowl of braised eagle meat. Place between the two. Yi Chen Yuan saw Yuan Chu's series of behaviors. Look at him strangely. Master Yuan Chu after sitting down, looking up at Yi Chen Yuan. It's okay, let's eat a bowl. Actually, I don't eat much. Yi Chen Yuan listened. He turned around and walked straight to the kitchen. The master is obviously comforting himself. I don't know how much he usually eats. Master, you wait. I'll go make you more. And Yi Chen Yuan hadn't taken a few steps yet, was pulled by Yuan Chu. Xiao Yuan, you wait. Then the little apprentice was forcibly pressed into his position. Let him sit down obediently. Okay. Sit down and eat. You've been tossing all day, and then enslave you as a teacher. Isn't that too unconscionable? Braised eagle meat in that bowl. Moved in front of the two again. Yuan Chu said with a grin. Let's eat together. This meat is delicious. You're using the meat from the shade leg. Fleshy elastic teeth. I love it, Yuan Chu said as he spoke. On the other hand, he also picked up a piece and stuffed it into Yi Chen's mouth. After Yi Chen Yuan chewed and swallowed the meat in his mouth, a bright smile spread across his face. The whole heart was instantly filled with sweetness. The master really still cares about his emotions. Seeing that you are not happy, I also made myself amused. Well, it's delicious. Master, you eat too. Yuan Chu saw that the little apprentice's mood had almost recovered. Asked tentatively on the side. Obuchi Fuchi, what the hell are you in a bad mood today? Yi Chen Yuan saw Yuan Chu ask. His eyes were slightly gloomy. But I still tell myself what the head of the house said today. I told Yuan Chu again. After all, this is Master's parents' business. Master also has the right to know. Yuan Chu was after listening to Yi Chen Yuan finish the matter. The whole person's eyes changed. Angrily slapped the table directly. And that kind of thing. Then the little fists were clenched. At this time at the beginning of the Yuan. Not only was he very angry at the woman's behavior. In my heart, it is because of the partiality of the uncle. And there are very many opinions. With an angry face, he said, why such an excessive thing? Uncle Boss won't tell me. But tell you. And when I asked before, locked up every day. I'm going to be angry. He kind of said it later. Let that woman be free for the rest of her life. Seeing that the master was angry, Yi Chen Yuan hurriedly reassured. Master, don't be angry. Wait until Shemin's affair is over. We're going to the Empire to find that woman. The more he thinks about it, the more angry he becomes. The uncle in charge not only deceived himself to come back on a blind date, and also concealed such an excessive thing. But I heard the little apprentice ask. Suddenly his heart became empty again. Don't wait. Uncle Boss called me back this time. Actually, it was for me to go on a blind date. What Yuan didn't know was that Yi Chen Yuan had known about this for a long time, and he failed on a blind date this time. This little apprentice also has a lot of credit, although it is already known. But at this time, Yi Chen Yuan still pretended not to know. Asked, Master, did you go on a blind date? And Yuan Chu was angry at this time. I didn't find my little apprentice at all. It's a little too calm at this point. Of course, the brain did not hit the other party. I can't even take a single trick. The uncle in charge is also too unreliable. Yi Chen Yuan still had a doubt in his heart at this time. The master asked you to come back and lead the team this time. Is it actually a disguise? Yuan Chu listened, touched his head, said with a sigh. Well, it's not fake. But he cheated me so much this time. It's okay if I don't take this errand. I heard Master say that. Yi Chen Yuan, who already had a plan, opened his mouth to persuade. Master Xianmin has a big pin. It's not far from the 10,000 Swords sect. Why don't you take this errand first? And I'm going to take advantage of that. Go to the face of adversity to improve your strength. When the time comes, we will be more sure when we go back. Yuan Chu listened to the little apprentice and wanted to improve his strength. I can't help but be a little worried. Boost your strength. You're just getting advanced. Will continuous advancement lead to unstable foundations? And how old are you now? It should be based on a solid foundation. Yi Qinyuan knew that the master was worried about himself, but he still won't change his decision. Smiled and reassured. Rest assured, master. I'll be fine. After all, after returning to the empire, he will go to the secret realm of the god realm. It's good that I've been experienced. It's just that I have to bother the master to endure it again. If the master is bored, you can go and lead a team to participate. We'll be back later. The little apprentices all said so. Yuan Chu naturally wanted to give face to his little apprentice. Frowning and reluctant to do it, can it be? Then I'll put up with that white lotus a little longer. It's been so many years anyway. It's not bad these days. Yuan Chu didn't know. What Yi Qinyuan was going to was the extremely dangerous Lethe secret realm. I feel that the little apprentice should go to the Yinchuan secret realm to practice. After all, there is a day outside. Inside 3 months. And there are a lot of treasures. It is the most suitable secret realm for the 10,000 Swords sect to experience. And not everyone can enter. Generally speaking, only disciples who have made great contributions will be allowed to enter. I couldn't help but roll my eyes when I thought of it. I think it must be the uncle in charge. I opened a small stove for Xiao Yuanyuan. And Yi Qinyuan was afraid that the master would worry. He didn't say which secret realm he was going to go to for training. I saw the master roll his eyes again. I can't help but be a little confused. Master, what's wrong with this? In the time that followed, the master and apprentice began to go their separate ways. Yuan Chu promised the little apprentice to wait. I had to be patient to participate in the Xianmin competition, and in a flurry of games down, Yuan Chu watched from the stage. I'm almost bored and asleep. The other side, Yi Qinyuan was fighting bloodily in the secret realm of Lethe. Because of the old man of Goldfinger, he is still asleep. He was on his own in the secret realm. In the secret realm of the Wangchuan River. None of those beasts are vegetarians. Even if Yi Qinyuan has the aura of the protagonist, still inevitably get hurt. Despite the fact that his body was covered in bruises, Yi Qinyuan still didn't use the secret realm token. Get yourself out. Because he knew it in his heart. Only in the moment of life and death, strength can be improved the fastest. And I can only get stronger as soon as possible, in order to ensure that the master will not be snatched away by others. When the big pin ends, it was already evening. Yuan Chu dragged his physically and mentally exhausted body, returned to Cold Sword Peak, while walking to the top of the mountain, while regretting why I went today. No way, it's boring to spend a lot of money, and I can't do anything on my own. A mascot that can only sit on the seat swing. I can't leave early. After all, he came on behalf of the 10,000 Swords sect. It doesn't seem appropriate to leave early. When I first walked to the top of the mountain, the smell of blood wafted through the air. I can't help but feel refreshed in the distance. Look around vigilantly. Subsequently, smelling blood in the distance, he walked to an attic. The smell of blood coming from inside the house. I can't help but have some doubts in my heart in the distance. I wonder what the smell of blood is all about. Didn't Xiao Yuanyuan go to find all his strength? Could it be that Xiao Qiu was injured? Immediately after that, Yuan Chu came to the house in a flash. Look at the food that has been laid out on the table. The doubts in my heart were even greater. The meals are already on the table. But how can there be no one? Follow the smell of blood. Yuan Chu walked in front of a screen. The sound of water behind the screen is heard. In order not to startle the snake, Yuan Chu quietly came behind the screen. Then a small head poked out. See what the hell is going on? And the scene he saw made Yuan Chuxin tremble. I saw the little apprentice I raised from childhood to adulthood. I don't know why. Covered in wounds and soaked in a wooden barrel. This scene couldn't help but make Yuan Chu exclaim. What's wrong with you? This sudden sound made Yi Qinyuan turn his head instantly. At this time, Yi Qinyuan's whole body was full of murderous aura. It seems that he is about to make a move on the person behind him in the next second. Behind the sight is the master. It was as if it hadn't been there. It dissipated in an instant. Yuan Chu had already run in front of Yi Qinyuan at this time. When I saw more wounds in front of him than in the back, suddenly gasped. "What's wrong with you? I'll help you heal," Yuan Chu said as he spoke, while reaching out his hand. Prepare to help the little apprentice heal the wounds on his body. And Yuan Chu's hand hadn't touched Yi Qinyuan yet. He rejected it loudly. The master is no longer needed. The reason why Yi Qinyuan refused Yuan Chu's treatment, it's because of this time in the secret realm. He found himself as long as he wasn't hanging. No matter how serious the injuries are, they will recover on their own. And the body is destroyed to the extreme. There will be a new life. Yuan Chu, after carefully examining the injuries on Yi Qinyuan's body, "It's very distressing." But he still said angrily, "How could he not use it? Hurry up and get me out. I'll help you heal," Yuan Chu said. Reaching out, he wanted to pull Xiao Yuanyuan out of the bucket. But Yi Qinyuan grabbed his hand first. Although Yi Qinyuan was scarred at this time, but his face was very calm. There was also a lot of seriousness in the tone. "Master, you don't have to protect me so well. Sometimes you too. You can let me grow, because I really want to protect you." 24/7. Looking at Yi Qinyuan from afar, the little face couldn't help but blush. Even breathing stopped. I don't know why. He suddenly felt Xiao Yuanyu, and seems to be different from before. Hurriedly took his hand back. Hidden behind him, he muttered, "What are you going to do?" "It's hard not to take medicine." Yi Qinyuan nodded. Then he smiled and said that he couldn't take any medicine. He'll be good on his own. These wounds increase the strength of my body. The master doesn't have to worry. Although Yuan Chu was very worried in his heart, but he still said viciously, "Who's worried about you anymore? Hurry up and finish washing up and go to my room." White confesses honestly. "How did you get yourself to look like this?" Yuan Chu finished speaking. Then he turned around and walked away with a huffing face. I didn't know that Yi Qinyuan was behind him at this time. What a pleasant look. Yuan Chu, after coming out, "Go straight back to your room." Even the meal prepared by Yi Qinyuan didn't even look at it. Sat on the bed. I started to sulk. In fact, he didn't know what he was angry about. That feeling seems to be an apprentice who has been raised since childhood. I don't care about my body at all. It's not obedient anymore. And there are more and more ideas. It's getting more and more inscrutable. It's better when I was a kid. Not only cute, but also well-behaved. Yi Qinyuan came out. I saw the whole meal on the table. Knew that the master was really angry this time. Hurry to the master's room. Guilty of guilt. "Master, don't be angry. This is an injury sustained in the secret realm. Scary to watch. Isn't it serious?" Don't believe him. There was no bloodshed anymore. Moreover, Yi Qinyuan wanted to reassure Yuan Chu. He also wore white clothes. Yuan Chu glanced at it. I couldn't help but wonder, is it really a minor injury? But I thought of the scene I saw before. Then he turned his head and snorted angrily. He said that you treat me as a 3-year-old child. It's not like I didn't see who was in the tub. The red ones are almost bloody. This time it's a minor injury. How could a small wound shed so much blood? Yi Qinyuan was as angry as a little puffer fish when he saw his master. Very inopportunely laughed master. I was just quenching. Li Lao said it before. The more damage the body takes, the stronger he gets. I'm doing this for my own good. Yuan Chu also felt that it made sense when he heard it. After all, the apprentice brother wants to be stronger. There's no way I'm going to stop him, but I still feel a little uncomfortable in my heart. Said sullenly, which secret realm are you going to? Yi Qinyuan was stunned for a moment at this time. I don't know what to say. You can only take out the token that the boss gives you. Master, this is the master's secret realm token. With him, I can come and go in and out of any secret realm of the 10,000 swords sect with ease. And even if you are in danger, you can come out at any time. You won't have to worry about it. I'm really measured, Yi Qinyuan said. Looked at Yuan Chu with crooked eyes. I hope it's over. Yuan Chu took the token with a suspicious face. Carefully faced for a moment. It was found to be true. The master token has the highest authority. It's not just Xiao Yuanyuan, who just looked for it in order to deceive himself. That's when I was relieved. And then it's like throwing a toy. Threw the token to Yi Qinyuan. At the same time, Sundara said, okay. If you want a green body, you will have a green body. But you can go anywhere else. But only you can't go to the secret realm of Lethe. Remember. Yi Qinyuan put the token away. Then he nodded. Say you know. After all, reassuring the master now is the most important thing. Anyway, if you go by then, the master didn't know either. Then master, can you eat now? You can rest assured. I use cleaning techniques when I cook. Yuan Chu heard this. My heart suddenly became heavy. The apprentice brother was injured like this. Heavy when I cook. Maybe the wound will crack open. Although he said so. But how can I eat it? Thinking of this, Yuan Chu lay on the bed. He muttered that he didn't want to eat. I'm going to sleep without an appetite. See that the master does not eat. Yi Qinyuan shouted softly beside the bed, Master, don't you want to grow taller? If you don't eat, you won't grow tall. I'll feed you. Yuan Chu saw that the little apprentices spoiled themselves so much. It doesn't seem appropriate to lie down on your own. And he's so big. Don't let the little mandarin ducks feed them. Got up and said helplessly, I eat it myself. You eat too. I can't finish it alone. After the two of them finished eating, Yuan Chu was full of wine and food and lying on the bed. Let the apprentice brother go back to rest. However, Yi Qinyuan refused to leave. Sitting on the edge of the bed, he said, Master, I spend 8 hours a day in the secret realm. There are 4 hours left. Can I stay with you? I'll tell you a story. I feel quite relaxed. Seeing Yi Qinyuan like this, I still remember that I didn't sleep at the beginning. Some distressed. So I agreed. If you want to stay, stay. But there's no need to tell a story. Let's just take a break. Now that you've decided you want to go through it. That must be effective. Do you know that Yuan Chu finished speaking? He patted the seat next to him. Said Xiao Yuanyuan. Come and sleep. The opportunity to share a bed with the master. How could Yi Qinyuan let it go? He nodded and lay down. Yi Qinyuan originally wanted to tell a story. But who knew that as soon as it hit the pillow, he fell asleep directly. Yuan Chu on the side felt that the little apprentice was asleep. Then he opened his eyes, but did not get up immediately. To be on the safe side, he also specially ordered the sleeping hole of the little apprentice. Let him sleep a little deeper. After succeeding, Yuan Chu knelt beside Yi Qinyuan. A satisfied smile appeared on his face. Humph, I must be asleep now. Then Yuan Chu stretched out his hand and started. Picked up Yi Qinyuan's clothes. While pulling back, he muttered that there was no bloodshed. The smell of blood on your body is even faint. I can smell it too. Don't let me heal, do you? I prefer Yuan Chu, although the action is very fast. But very gently. Because he knows. There are many wounds on the little apprentice's body. After stripping the clothes off Yi Qinyuan's body, the scene that Yuan Chu saw, he still had a smug smile on his face. Collapsed in an instant. Knew that Xiao Yuanyuan was coaxing himself just now. So many wounds. It doesn't look like it's hurting. How can it be said that there will be no blood without bloodshed? At the beginning of the year, he would be angry and angry. But I feel more distressed in my heart. Did Xiao Yuanyuan endure just now? No wonder I fell asleep as soon as I dipped my head in the pillow. However, the intention of cultivating immortals is like this. Want to grow? It must be tempered 1,000 times. And countless escapes from death. Yuan Chu then sighed. Really? Not everyone can go as smoothly as they are. Xiao Yuanyuan wants to be stronger. I am his master. Can't stop him. Thinking of this, Yuan Chu helplessly stretched out a hand, poked the little apprentice's pale face. The stinky boy knows it makes me feel distressed. Yuan Chu poked it as if venting. Only then did he lightly help the little apprentice with medicine. The next day, when the abyss arose that night, suddenly I found that the wounds on my body were not so painful. And the medicine that I put on my body. Just think about it. I knew that it was the master next to me who helped me take the medicine. Looking at the cute appearance of the master when he was still asleep at this time, I couldn't help but lean forward and kiss it. At the same time, I secretly said in my heart, "Thank you, master." Yi Chen Yuan after kissing. So he got up and went to the secret experience to practice. Because he himself knows. Whether it's to protect the master, still have to get the master. You have to be stronger. In Yi Chen Yuan, after leaving, Yuan Chu, who was lying on the bed, slept until noon. I opened my eyes in a daze. Seeing that there was nothing around me, I couldn't help but wonder. What about Abu Chibiki? After sitting up and sobering up for a while, Yuan Chu remembered. Xiao Yuan should have gone to the secret experience at this time. Then he got out of bed. I saw that the food on the table was still hot at this time. Originally, there were still some confused eyes. Instantly sparkling. Wow, it's milk and rhombic crisp. It's still hot. Xiaoqia went to retreat. That must have been prepared by Xiao Yuan. Immediately after that, Yuan Chu reached out and poked it. Heating array shining on food. I can't help but be a little confused. Xiao Yuan majored in alchemy and fulu. Formation has always been his shortcoming. Why did he handle this so accurately today? Could it be that the uncle in charge secretly opened a small stove for him again? The innocent boss is innocent again. Listen to the wind in tacit understanding. This should be a very appropriate sneeze. When Yuan Chu was still sleeping, Yi Chen Yuan has already surrounded the demonic beasts outside the secret of Lethe. It's almost cleaned up. Look in the direction of the depths of the forest. Yi Chen Yuan knew. There must be more powerful monsters inside. It's dangerous though, but he still went ahead without hesitation. Yuan Chu after eating, started the boring teamwork again. After a boring day, Yuan Chu returned to Han Jianfeng listlessly again. When I came back, it's like yesterday in the air, again filled with the smell of blood. Yuan Chu couldn't help frowning. After some searching, Yuan Chu was finally in a clearing, saw lying on the ground, covered in blood, a little apprentice who doesn't know life and death. Just as Yuan Chu stepped forward, when I want to carry the little apprentice into the room, but I found that although I had strength, but the body is too small. I can't afford to drag Xiao Yuan at all. But this is not difficult for Yuan Chu. Smack. Yuan Chu immediately became what it looks like an adult. After all, people who cultivate immortals. As long as the cultivation is high enough, it's easy to change your body shape. The beginning of the Yuan after it became larger, easily hugged Princess Yi Chen Yuan. Fortunately, Yi Chen Yuan is now in a coma. Otherwise, you will definitely have to struggle. Hold yourself on. After putting Yi Chen Yuan on the bed, Yuan Chu first fed a pill, then helped the little apprentice sort it out. The overly manic aura in the body. After doing it, a surprising discovery at the beginning of the year. Impurities in the body of the small element. It's almost cleared. The body becomes very thorough. Although the immortal cultivator can clear the valley, but take pills. More or less impurities are produced in the body. Unless it's like me, repair to more than out of the sheath. And they eat food without impurities, in order to ensure the clarity of the body. Can be small round inside. In the past, there was an accumulation of impurities in the elixir. Why did I go to the secret realm for 2 days? All the impurities in the body are gone. This suddenly made the original expression a little complicated. On the one hand, I am happy for the little apprentice. After all, impurities are removed. Meridian widening. Then he will go further than others in the future. On the other hand, there is worry. But you have to use this way to scar yourself. Come and quench the body. Yuan Chu looked at the little apprentice. At that time, there was still a little pale face. A little wistfully muttered, "Which secret realm are you going to? With your current strength, it's impossible to stand still and not fight back. Let the spirit beasts fight. Which secret realm can make you so embarrassed?" Yuan Chu would never have thought of it. The little apprentice promised well in front of him before. But I still went to the secret realm of Lethe. Just as Yuan Chu was pondering, "What the hell is the little apprentice? It's going to make such a mess of yourself." Yi Chen Yuan woke up in a daze. Maybe it's because the brain hasn't eased up yet. Trembling, he got out of bed. "I don't know what to do." This action startled Yuan Chu on the side. "Don't move. Lie down for me. Don't go anywhere." Hear Master's voice. Yi Chen Yuan turned his head and saw that the Master was like this now. His mouth was like a dream. Muttered Master, "Long time no see. You've grown so big. It's so beautiful." Yuan Chu looked at the little apprentice as if he had lost his mind. "I don't know what I'm muttering." Puzzled, he asked what you said. Then I didn't know what came to mind. With a thud, it changed back to its original state. "I do. Isn't it to better drag you to bed?" Yi Chen Yuan saw that Yuan Chu had changed back to his original appearance. I also laughed at myself in my heart. It's my own magic barrier. Although he has been in the secret realm for a year. But only a day has passed. Immediately afterwards, Yi Chen Yuan thought that it was so late. The Master hasn't eaten dinner yet. I tried to get up and cook. Yuan Chu just glanced at it. I know what the little apprentice wants to do. With a snap, he was pushed back onto the bed. At the same time, he said angrily, "You lie here for me. Don't move, don't worry. I eat less. Hungry." Yi Chen Yuan, who lay back on the bed, looked at Yuan Chu in a daze. Silent. Yuan Chu saw the little apprentice looking at him like this. It's hard to say anything. After all, he is a master. The apprentice works so hard. It's not good to discourage his self-motivation, but I spent an unknown amount of genius on this earthly treasure. A white and chubby apprentice who was raised. I have lost a lot of weight in just 2 days. Immediately after that, Yuan Chu made a decision. Looked at the little apprentice who still wanted to struggle to get up. Some angrily said, "Hurry up and lie down for me. Today I will take care of you." Though, before the beginning of the Yuan, he was the one who had been taken care of. But he felt that he should be able to take care of himself. Obuchi's then in the next time. Yi Chen Yuan enjoyed Yuan Chu's all-round care. That's just clothes to reach out and open your mouth. And Yuan Chu also cooked in person again. I made a bowl of fragrant meals to feed the little apprentice. Although Yi Chen Yuan has repeatedly said that he has already opened the valley. No need to eat anymore. Master, you better eat it yourself. And Yuan Chu insisted on feeding. Even if the little apprentice said so. Still took a bite. Stubbornly fed to his mouth. There was a little seriousness on the expression on his face. You are the only one to take care of me. I won't be allowed to take care of you. Who is the master of the two of us? Who are the apprentices? Let's open your mouth obediently. Yi Chen Yuan saw that the master was so persistent. Didn't refuse. After all, the master was good to him. He still cherishes it. Obediently opened his mouth. Yuan Chu saw that the little apprentice suddenly cooperated so much. He also laughed on his face. After eating, Yi Chen Yuan wiped his mouth with satisfaction. I'm full. Those dishes and chopsticks. Yuan Chu naturally wouldn't keep it for Xiao Yuan to wash. After all, the patient. Just lie down in bed and rest. After washing, Yuan Chu came back and saw that the little apprentice was coughing. I use cleansing very diligently. The whole house was cleaned. The smell of blood still lingers in the room. Dispel them all. Then he turned away. Seeing the little apprentice's brows, he seemed to frown. With a worried face, he stepped forward and asked Xiao Yuan, "Isn't it uncomfortable to cover? I'll help you change your bed and quilt." After Yuan Chu did this, Yi Chen Yuan said with some embarrassment, "Master, I want to take a medicated bath." Listen to what the little apprentice said. At the beginning of the year, the bucket of the bath will be directly soaked. I got it to the room. Then he subconsciously said, I'll help you take a bath. But after that's all that. Yuan Chu suddenly reacted. Taking a bath is like taking off your clothes. This made Yuan Chu instantly shy. At the same time, it was also difficult. But then Yuan Chu thought about it. They have grown up together since childhood. I haven't seen anything myself. After doing a good job of psychological construction, Yuan Chu then prepared the medicinal bath, then 8 more little apprentices, then put it in the tub. Looking at the little apprentice who was soaking in the medicinal bath, Yuan Chu asked what he had been wondering about before. That's right, Obuchi. Which secret realm are you going to? Why do you hurt so badly every time you come back? Yi Qinyuan would be fine if he was alone at this time. But now, because of the beginning of the Yuan here, he couldn't help but be a little shy. But he still replied that it was the secret realm of Yinchuan. I deliberately went to some of the more dangerous places. It's easy to improve your strength. Yi Qinyuan's words are reasonable. Yuan Chu couldn't find anything to suspect. After all, the Yinchuan secret realm is a great secret realm. It is said that there is a 9th order demon king sitting inside. If the abyss is deep into the bottom of the abdomen, it makes sense that he would get hurt. Thinking of this, Yuan Chu no longer struggled with this problem. Then I remembered. I seem to have said that I want to help the little apprentice wipe his back. Laughed at Xiao Yuan. I'll wipe your back for you. It's just helping you dredge up your aura. Yi Qinyuan heard Yuan Chu say this. The pupils couldn't help but dilate a little. At the beginning of the year, I didn't know what the little apprentice was like now. A small bench was moved and placed next to the tub. I'm afraid that the little apprentice will be embarrassed. And I promise you that you can rest assured. I'm not going to mess around. Although before, when I was undressing, I should have seen almost everything I should see. Yuan Chu, after finishing speaking, then lie down on the edge of the tub, looked at the little apprentice with a smile. Stand up. This will already be working. The power of the domineering medicine began to pour into Yi Qinyuan's body. At the same time, it was accompanied by Na's unbearable pain. This made Yi Qinyuan's concentration at this time directly plummet. If Yuan Chu's little hand touches it again, Yi Qinyuan felt that he really couldn't help it. And Yi Qinyuan at this time, black gas wafting from his body, attracted the attention of Yuan Chu. However, Yuan Chu was wondering what this was. Before he could finish speaking, a cunning fell into the tub. Fortunately, there was nothing wrong with Yuan Chu falling into the barrel, just choked on a few mouthfuls of water and stood up. Yi Qinyuan looked in front of him. The master, who is wet all over, asked the master with a concerned face, You okay? And at this time, the domineering medicinal power in the barrel, it has begun to pour into Yuan Chu's body. The pain made Yuan Chu, who had always been afraid of pain, shed tears. But then Yuan Chu felt it. The breath of the head uncle is coming this way. I can't care about the pain anymore. The expression on his face instantly panicked. Oh no, the boss is here. Just the two of them as they are now. If you are seen by the uncle in charge, Xiao Yuan's drunken relatives will be expelled from the division. Yi Qinyuan heard Yuan Chu say this. Instantly alerted. My mind was racing about what to do. But the body seems to be better than the brain. Decisions were made one step faster. In the next second, he directly reached out and pressed Yuan Chu into the bucket. Yuan Chu was also sudden. It's a bit confusing. Legitimate. When Yuan Chu wanted to struggle to get up from the barrel, I heard the uncle walk in, directly covered his small mouth. I'm afraid I'll make a little noise. Discovered by the uncle. Machi listened to the wind when he first entered the room. I saw the naked body in front of me. Yi Qinyuan soaking in the bathtub. I thought I was in the wrong room. You can look around for a week. Puzzled, he said, Why are you so small here? Yi Qinyuan was facing the question of tacit understanding. There was not a hint of anything out of the ordinary. It's very calm. Recently, The disciple was quenched in the secret realm. The master said he knew a way. This process can be accelerated. That's why the disciple died again. And the master went out because he still lacked a medicinal herb. The disciples didn't know where he was now. The expression on Yi Qinyuan's face at this time was very calm, but in his heart, he was still shocked by what he had just done. Why did you put the master like this? I pressed it into the tub. Yi Qinyuan's expression and tone of voice didn't let Emochi feel anything unusual. In addition, the injuries on the other party's body are also very convincing. This suddenly made Emochi think that he was thinking too much. Immediately after that, Emochi stepped forward to listen to the wind, looked at Yi Qinyuan's medicinal desire that was soaking at this time. As a 6th-rank alchemist, he is. Immediately, I smelled the ingredients of the herbs in the medicinal desire. I can't help but praise that this extract prescription is not bad. It seems to be an adventure for a small duh. Yi Qinyuan saw the head of the house coming over. I can't help but raise my throat and eyes, for fear of being seen by the other party. The edge of the barrel is out. It's going to be pretty much the same. You can see the uncle in charge. Didn't find yourself at the time. I couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Luckily, the water in this tub is colored. Can't see inside. But then the edge came out and reacted after the realization. I'm relaxing now. Now this situation is so weird. Okay. Why should I hide in the tub of the little apprentice? Every time I hid in, I was seen by the uncle in charge. I can also defend 2 sentences. But now, if you find out, I can't tell 10 mouths. After listening to the wind and watching the reunification meeting, then he took out a jade bottle. This author has a bottle of jade nectar. It can stimulate the medicinal properties of the drug even more. Although the process will be a bit hard, however, it will increase the effect of the medicated bath a lot. I believe in you as a determined child. I'm going to get through it, Machi said as he listened to the wind, while unscrewing the cork of the jade bottle. Yi Qinyuan heard what the head said, opened his mouth, still didn't say anything, although he was able to get through it. But the master, Yuan Chu in the bucket, heard the uncle in charge say this. Suddenly I couldn't stay in the bucket. Struggled hard. Want to get out of the barrel. But he was suppressed by Yi Qinyuan with one hand. Immediately afterwards, Yi Qinyuan sent a voice to persuade the master. If you come out now, what will the head think? If you can't explain it, we're both going to have to go to confinement. Yuan Chu. Now where to find this plausible explanation? And now this is the case. There is no rational explanation for this. I can only shed tears, silently bearing everything in the barrel. With the end of the period, listen to the wind and pour the nectar into a bucket and bathe. The medicated bath in the bucket immediately boiled over. At the same time, the pain was much stronger than before. Crazy impact on Yuan Chu's body. This made Yuan Chu couldn't help but stand up on the hairs all over his body. Yuan Chu was in pain all over his body at this time, but he couldn't even scream. I could only stretch out my hand angrily, twisted down on the soft flesh on the round waist. After all, if it weren't for this bad idea, I don't have to suffer from this myself. It's really going to kill me. Pain in the lower back. It didn't make Yi Qinyuan feel much pain. After all, the pain in the medicated bath is several times greater than this. But the small hand in the distance suddenly touched. That Yi Qinyuan was difficult to control for a while. He snorted. Emochi listened to the wind and heard Yi Qinyuan's muffled snort, frowning slightly, but he still reminded him to calm down. Although the process will be a bit hard, but the one who becomes the great Tao, you must first suffer your mind. So you have to hold on. Yi Qinyuan heard this. Some blush, but still replied. The disciples follow the teachings of the master. Machi listened to the seal. Seeing Yi Qinyuan like this, so teachable, he couldn't help but nod with satisfaction. But then he sat down in front of Yi Qinyuan. It seems that he is going to come back from this fate. Yi Qinyuan saw this. Instantly I felt that something was wrong. There was inevitably some eagerness in his tone. I suddenly remembered. The master said that he was in the temple field in the back mountain. If you are in a hurry, you can go to him. Emochi looked at Yi Qinyuan strangely when he heard this. This kid has always been calm. How suddenly? Yi Qinyuan saw the strange eyes of the master. I also know that I am a little too anxious. Then he blushed as if he was about to drip blood. He whispered, and the disciple was about to get up. And the reason why Yi Qinyuan is so different. The main thing is that the edge of the barrel has changed again. Tacit understanding. Seeing Yi Qinyuan say this, I couldn't help but frown. There was some seriousness in his tone, and he said no. You should soak it a little longer. Let the effect of the liquid be exhausted. If you get up now, I don't know how much medicinal power is wasted. On one side is the boss's nonsense. On one side is the master's increasingly rampant small movements. This suddenly made Yi Qinyuan cry and laugh. And at the instigation of the master, I can't even suppress the power of the desolation in my body. If it's really exposed, what should the master think of himself in the future? Yi Qinyuan then gritted his teeth. Let the rising lust in my heart press down again. Don't worry. The master said, this prescription is special. I shouldn't be in this situation for a long time. Cultivating immortals pays attention to gradual progress. I'll try. Seeing Yi Qinyuan say this, and I don't know the other person's situation yet, Inkblot nodded in obedience. Then he stood up, walked towards the door. Well, you listen to Xiao Chu. Hanza went to Yakuta to find him. Yi Qinyuan saw that the head of the house was finally leaving. I breathed a sigh of relief in my heart, but he still respectfully said that the disciple could not get up. Congratulations to the head of the house. After feeling that the head uncle was walking away, Yuan Chu, who stayed in the bucket and endured the old for a long time, I finally got out of the water. Yi Qinyuan asked the master worriedly, You okay? Yi Qinyuan didn't ask, but it was okay. This question made Yuan Chu's already big anger even greater. Snorted. Said angrily, Look, that's a bad idea. It hurts me to death. After Yuan Chu finished speaking, he immediately got out of the barrel. He can't stay in this broken barrel for 1 second. Yi Qinyuan looked at the master's whole body. It's still dripping at this point. Stepped forward to care about Master Dao. Put on your coat. Don't catch a cold. Yuan Chu was about to go and change clothes. Something suddenly came to mind. Turn around. Try to put on a very serious face. Say not to do it next time. Yi Qinyuan also knew that the master was angry now. Naturally, he obediently responded to the Tao and knew the master. But who knows what will happen next time? Although with such a small episode, available after a few days, the master and apprentice still do their own thing. Yi Qinyuan still went to the Luchuan secret realm to practice. And Yuan Chu went to Zomendabi as usual to be the mascot. Although Yi Qinyuan came back every day these days, they were all wounded. But Yuan Chu found out after that day. The wounds on the little apprentice's body are getting fewer and fewer day by day. That's because Yi Qinyuan wanted not to worry his master. Before coming out, we'll treat the wounds on their bodies. Although the body is covered, but Yi Qinyuan's mental state. But it made Yuan Chu a little confused. The wounds on the little apprentice's body are getting fewer and fewer day by day. But how could that killing aura get heavier and heavier day by day? Xiao Yuanyuan hasn't been trained for long. After all, one day of Yinchuan's secret realm is equivalent to March outside. But that killing breath, it's like it's been piling up for years. You can't get rid of it. At this time, Yuan Chu was frantically consuming brain cells. It just so happened that this sect had already ended. Yuan Chu didn't want to think about it. Then he got up and went to the uncle to restore his life. When Yuan Chu returned to Tianji Peak to resume his life, there was some surprise at the end of the listening wind. After all, Yuan Chu completed the errand honestly. Not a single day was absent. Sure enough, it went out for a few years. It's much more stable than when I was a child. Then Machi listened to the wind and suggested next. Do you want to retreat for a few years? Consolidate your cultivation. That's the source of this character. If I hadn't agreed. Yichin Yuan. How can you be honest and be a mascot? It's almost impossible to retreat into such a boring thing. Hurriedly waved his hand and said no, no, no. I still have something. Let's talk about the retreat later. The secret realm of the temple on the other side of the empire is about to open. I'm going to join in the fun. Emochi heard the wind and saw that Yuan Chu was going to the empire again. I couldn't help frowning, judging by the look on his face. He really didn't want Yuan Chu to go to the empire again. But looking at Yuan Chu's elated face, I really want to go. Machi didn't listen to the wind and forcibly left him behind. After all, the child is older. The road is to be walked by itself. But the look on his face was still a little unhappy, loudly reminded that you are going to the empire. But then, you have to stay away from the royal families over there. Imperialism is impetuous. Cultivation is even more calm. You must not be spoiled by them. Do you know that Yuan Chu heard the uncle in charge say this? Although a little confused. But I still nodded again and again, and I was relieved. I won't be broken. See this tacit understanding. Listening to the wind, I still don't feel at ease. After all, the annoying one is also the empire's. But on second thought, this time, Yichin Yuan followed. Xiaochu shouldn't have too many problems. Thinking of this, the ink was suddenly discovered. I haven't seen Xiaochu's little apprentice recently. It won't still be in Lethe. The realm of training bar opened his mouth and asked, Xiaochu, your apprentice. Yuan Chu saw the uncle in charge and asked Xiao Yuan's whereabouts. I couldn't help but look at him strangely. No, no, no. It's not really what you think. The uncle in charge really opened a small stove for Xiao Yuan. He's trained in the secret realm. 8 hours a day. A day is no less. At the end of the period, I was shocked when I heard the wind. He thought that Yichin Yuan would be fine if he went in for a few days. I didn't expect to go every day. And it's 8 hours a day. It's just not taking your own life seriously. Then he looked down with a look of hatred. I don't know anything yet. That kid has to be strong. You don't want to stop it. It's good to go to this Lethe secret realm once or twice. You actually let him stay inside for a month. Yuan Chu heard the uncle in charge say this. His face sank instantly. Then his eyes widened. A look of disbelief, looking at the uncle sitting above. What a Lethe secret realm. Isn't it the secret realm of Yinchuan? Listening to the wind tacitly, looking at Yuan Chu below. I don't know what to say at this point. Although Yichin Yuan is that child. In order not to worry Xiao Chu, lying is also excusable. But Xiao Chu is a master person. For so long, I didn't know which secret realm the apprentice went to. The heart is really big enough. Said speechlessly. What Yinchuan secret realm? He went to Lethe. Before the beginning of the Luchuan dynasty, there was still a bit of a fluke. I think the uncle is joking with him. But he would be really angry. Uncle Lethe, do you have a grudge against Yichin Yuan? Emochi heard Feng Si Yuan Chu say this. Reached out and knocked him directly on the forehead. This suddenly made Yuan Chu cry out in pain. You still talk about me. You are his master. He's been going to Lethe for a month. You don't know. At the beginning of the year, he would not argue with the uncle. Then he took out his own owner token. After all, it's not just the head token. You can enter any secret realm. The same is true for the tokens of each owner. Although in the heart of the little apprentice deceived his own behavior, I feel quite angry. But Yuan Chu still decided. First of all, he is on the verge of death at this time. A little apprentice who is crazy and tempting. Save it first. Then use the addition that you haven't used for a long time. Let him feel what a demonstration is. After Yuan Chu learned the truth. At this time, Yichin Yuan, who was looking through the secret realm. This time it's really a matter of life and death. Looking at the extremely easy tiger passing by him, Yi Qinyuan's heart was about to rise to his throat. I didn't expect that I hadn't gone deep into the hinterland. I encountered a 7th-order magical beast equivalent to the out-of-body period. Although Yi Qinyuan immediately took out the secret realm token. Leave the secret realm. In the next second, Extreme Wing Fuhu intuitively sensed something. An angry roar rushed directly in front of Yi Qinyuan. It all happened so fast. When Yi Qinyuan reacted, the token had flown out of his hand. Look at the tokens that fly out. Yi Qinyuan knew that he was no match for this extreme wing tiger, but he still met him with his sword. Because he knows, the only way to get back the mysteries token is to get it back. Only by yourself can there be a glimmer of life. If you die here, what should Master do? At the beginning of the year, he had just arrived at the gate of the Lethe secret realm. In the Stone Sea, it was originally a quiet dragon egg. Suddenly it jumped out. And it can make the dragon eggs that are in the hatching period suddenly wake up. The only reason is that Madoka's life is in danger. This couldn't help but make Yuan Chu's face even more ugly. Then he entered the secret realm without hesitation. As soon as you enter the secret realm, mountains of corpses and a sea of blood in front of you. Yuan Chu's brows furrowed slightly. Could it be that these are all done by Xiao Yeye? Immediately after that, Yuan Chu flew into the air and the gods. The stone spreads out. Discover 100 miles away. There was no sign of any monsters. Couldn't help but make Yuan Chu even more worried. The situation of his own little apprentice. After all, the deeper the demonic beasts appeared. Maybe even the current self is not an opponent. Yi Qinyuan didn't know at this time. The master already knows the truth. And now it's in the secret realm of Lethe. Although the body is already riddled with holes. The sword in his hand was also broken in two. But Yi Qinyuan's eyes were still full of murderous aura, staring at the extremely easy tiger in front of him. It is very easy to subdue the tiger, and this will also be very angry. Obviously this in front of me. An existence that can be trampled to death with 1 foot of his own. He was actually injured. Just as it was extremely easy to Fu, who was about to give Yi Qinyuan a fatal blow. Black fire gushed out from his mouth. At this critical moment, Yuan Chu arrived in time. Seeing this scene, he hurriedly stood in front of the little apprentice. Hands propped up, blocked the flames completely. Yi Qinyuan, this will hurt quite badly. Looked at Yuan Chu in front of him. I thought I was hallucinating. After all, I didn't tell the master. How could the master know that he was in the secret realm of Lethe? And what he didn't know was, because of the tacit understanding to listen to the wind a few words. His recent meticulous concealment has been all done in vain. However, this also successfully allowed Yi Qinyuan to pick up a life. Yuan Chu, after resisting that flame, turning around, he saw the little apprentice who was scarred all over his body. The anger immediately came up. The whole body breath surges. Rush forward. I want to peel the gill of tiger in front of me and cramp. Yi Qinyuan saw his master's move. The heartbeat was half a beat slower. After all, the master is just a baby. How can you beat it in the later stage? This is comparable to a 7th-order magical beast in the unsheathed stage. Hurriedly shouted in a panic, don't. The master then endured the severe pain all over his body. Reluctantly lifted a breath of aura. The next second came directly behind Yuan Chu, and Yuan Chu felt behind him the breath of the little apprentice who quickly approached. I couldn't help but be stunned. I didn't expect Xiao Yuanyuan to be so seriously injured. He was able to come behind him so quickly. Midair. Yi Qinyuan hugged Yuan Chu in his arms tightly, then release all the lightning in the sheath. All of them attacked towards the extremely easy to ambush the tiger. And this blow was already Yi Qinyuan's last blow. After unleashing the blow, he no longer had the strength to resist. The polar winged tiger, after being attacked by this thunderbolt, was also successfully paralyzed for a while. Yi Qinyuan, after the attack was successful, looked eagerly at Yuan Shu in front of him. Say goodbye word by word. Go quickly, because he knows in his heart, this attack of oneself will not kill the opponent. For the sake of the master, you must also stop each other. Even if you risk your own life, the master can't be hurt either. Yuan Shu saw the little apprentice, so desperately trying to get a chance to survive for himself. I didn't know how to explain it for a while, although it is angry now, because he is still protected by the little apprentice. At the beginning of the year, no matter how much anger he had, he couldn't vent it. I do a fight so that I can let go of my hands and feet. Yuan Shu could only order the little apprentice's bedtime again. Let him sleep obediently. Immediately after the little apprentice was placed, Yuan Shu looked at the paralyzed state that had been lifted at this time. The polar winged tiger that flew towards them. The whole body is surging with murderous machines. Dead animals. Do you know what happens to widows? At the beginning of the Yuan, this will reveal the breath, or the late vowel period. This is very easy to subdue the tiger, and naturally does not pay attention to it. A late vowel only. 2 are also additional dishes. Then he opened his mouth wide and pounced on the vowels. And Yuan Shu just stepped forward. He kicked Ji Yifuhu in the waist. This kick directly made Ji Yifuhu spit out a mouthful of blood. The breath of the whole body has also withered a lot. Ji Fu Tiger saw this. I know the little girl in front of me. It's pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger. Then he turned his head and tried to escape. But this will be the beginning of the Yuan in the head of the anger. How could he have escaped? Followed by, it was a series of inhumane torture and killings in front of him. Ji Fuhu knew that he couldn't escape, stepped forward and began to fight back. I want to get a chance for myself. But after a moment of shaking, he finally fell in front of Yuan Shu. Die with a grievance or everlasting regret. And there was not even a whole corpse left. Yuan Shu then stepped forward. From the corpse of the extremely easy to subdue the tiger, he took out the Niden. After taking a closer look, smiled with satisfaction. This Niden is good. It is good for a dragon egg in the hatching. Available in the turn. When I saw the little apprentice who didn't know his life and death, the smile on Yuan Shu's face disappeared immediately. The whole face was directly gloomy. Big eyes looked at him grimly. Snorted, as for you, I won't forgive you so easily. Yi Qinyuan, after being brought back to Hanjianfeng by Yuan Shu. I don't know how long it took to finally wake up. I opened my eyes and saw Xiaoqiu in front of me. The first sentence was to ask Xiaoqiu in a hurry, what about my aunt and master? Xiaoqiu thought of Yuan Shu, the appearance of suddenly calling yourself out of retreat. Then he turned his head to look at Yi Qinyuan, who was still confused at this time. Smiled helplessly. He went into retreat. Yi Qinyuan heard this. I was taken aback. I hurriedly wanted to sit up. Xiaoqiu saw that Yi Qinyuan still remembered. It's okay. Hurriedly pressed him and pinned him up. Your injuries are not healed. Your injury this time is very important. No. Zun went up and asked the head for a big rejuvenation pill for you. Whether you'll wake up or not is still a question. Yi Qinyuan heard Xiaoqiu say this. I knew that the master was still thinking about him. Didn't leave him alone. But I never like to close up. Guan's master actually went to retreat this time. Could it be that he was injured by the fox in auspicious clothes? Think about it this way. Yi Qinyuan was suddenly anxious, struggling to get up. Aunt Xiao, I'm going to get up. Is the master injured? I'm going to find him. Xiaoqiu was so excited when he saw Yi Qinyuan. Hurriedly held him down again. At the same time, he comforted that no. It's just skin trauma. In the 2 days you were unconscious, the wounds on His Majesty's body have healed. He just said that he wanted to retreat and consolidate his cultivation. Let's not bother him. Heard that the master was not injured. Yi Qinyuan suddenly breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. But then it didn't feel good. It seems that the master is really angry with me this time. Don't want to see me. Otherwise, it depends on the master's temperament. If it's nothing, how is it possible to go to retreat? So Yi Qinyuan ignored Xiaoqiu's obstruction, dragging a still somewhat weak body. I came to the gate of the beginning of the garden. After all, this time it was also my own fault. The more stuffy the master is, the more angry he will become. The master must be coaxed as soon as possible. However, due to the prohibition set at the entrance at the beginning of the garden, Yi Qinyuan stretched out his hand and wanted to push open the door. But the door did not move. Looking at the door in front of him, which was not moving, Yi Qinyuan frowned, softly shouted to the master inside. Because he knows, the master can definitely hear it inside. This will be in the far side of the room. Slight movement of the ear. I heard the little apprentice shouting outside the door. At this time, he was turning his grief and anger into appetite. Holding a big eagle leg is showing off like crazy. I heard the voice of the little apprentice outside the door. He snorted angrily. Said that he was still angry. I won't open the door. Yi Qinyuan was outside the door. Not surprisingly, I didn't get any response. He sighed helplessly. There's no way to hide it from the master. It's okay to sneak into dangerous places and play for your life. It's good that it wasn't discovered. When it can be discovered. I almost hung up. This time the master must be going to blow up the hair. Even if the current master is difficult to coax, Yi Qinyuan will also coax him well. Hurriedly assured at the door. Master, can you let me in first? I promise I won't dare again next time. Yuan Chu sat in the room, angrily gnawed on the big eagle leg in his hand. Heard the little apprentice say this. The air was bulging. You still want to have a next time? I almost hung up after lying to me. I'm embarrassed to knock on my door. And want me to open the door. Don't even think about it. Resolutely ignore him. It certainly can't be so easy this time. Let the little injustice turn this matter over. Yi Qinyuan saw that there was still no movement inside the door. I can't help but have a headache. Although his current physical condition at this time, very not optimistic, but he still stubbornly stood at the door and refused to leave. After a moment of thought, Master, do you really want to retreat? Didn't we say we were going to go to the Excalibur secret realm together? Yuan Chu heard the little apprentice say this. Suddenly tangled. It's tickling in my heart. I really want to go. Although sooner or later Excalibur is a small injustice. But if you didn't go, what should I do if there is an accident then? But that's how I forgave him. Wouldn't it be too easy? Yi Qinyuan understood the original temperament. Then the temptation was added. And we didn't say yes together. Are you going to ruin that imposter's promise feast? Is this good? When the time comes, I won't let you stay in the Zi. Let's go together. You can play however you want. How about Yi Qinyuan after finishing speaking? Yuan Chu's heart was more and more eager to go. Almost let the defense miss. I couldn't help but scratch my head in annoyance. Do you really have to forgive him like that? It's so unpleasant. The prohibition on the door still shows no signs of wanting to disappear. Yi Qinyuan's tone. I can't help but have a hint of pleading. Master, for the sake of my sincerity, let me in. I just wanted to go in and see if you were hurt. Isn't it all good? Yuan Chu this will. I almost couldn't resist the attack of the little apprentice. Hurriedly stretched out his hand to cover his ears. Not listening. Not listening. Wangba recites the scriptures. Think it's so easy to coax me. There are no doors. I'm furious this time. It's not the kind of coaxing. Yi Qinyuan saw that the master did not move. It's almost over. There is no other way. That's the only way to do it. There was a sense of weakness in the tone of the speech that followed. As he spoke, he couldn't help coughing violently. In the distance inside the house, I heard the little apprentice coughing. I couldn't help but get worried. Then he stepped forward and walked to the door. Look up and listen carefully. And release the divine stone to check. Yi Qinyuan, who was outside the house, felt the master's divine stone. Then he followed the trend. Weakly fell to the ground. Seeing this, Yuan Shu didn't want to think about it. Directly stretched out his spiritual power and dragged him. But the barrier was opened. Yi Qinyuan seized the opportunity and teleported in directly. Yuan Shu looked at Yi Qinyuan, who suddenly came in. Then the reaction came. I was tricked by this rebel again. Then he turned away from the rebel, hit him with his ass and puff out, and said that you were playing with a blow-up. Ignore you. Yi Qinyuan was in the last life and death crisis. I thought I would never see my master again. In sight of him, he couldn't hold back any longer. Stepped forward and hugged Yuan Shu directly. Yuan Shu was Yi Qinyuan's sudden move. I was taken aback. Panicked. Donini, what are you doing? Yi Qinyuan did not answer. It's hugged tighter. Then he rested his head on the bead. Breathe in the sweet scent of him. The voice was a little hoarse, and said that the master should not move. Let me hold it. Yi Qinyuan said so. The little fist in Yuanju's heart clenched and hugged again. Hug your sister. Don't let me go yet. This rebel is about to turn the world upside down. Yuan Shu just wanted to get rid of him. Yi Qinyuan said in a deep voice. Master, thank you for saving me. I almost thought I'd never see you again. Yi Qinyuan's voice trembled a little. Even the body trembled slightly unconsciously. This made Yuan Shu consciously unbearable to break away from him. But the fire still hasn't gone away. Now I know that I am afraid. Did you remember to find your mother? Wasn't it quite bullish when I went to play with my life before? Think of it that way. The movements of Yuan Shu's hands still stopped, because it's not just Yi Qinyuan who is afraid. He was also afraid. After all, both have lived together for so many years. All became in their respective lives an integral part of it. And Yi Qinyuan, it is the beginning of this new world. Find the spiritual pillars. I think of the scene from afar. Couldn't help but hug Yi Qinyuan as well. He suddenly realized, even if it's a male protagonist, he's going to die. He was afraid that he could not imagine. That's when what would have happened if he had gone a second late. Holding a soft master in his arms, Yi Qinyuan's originally restless heart finally returned to its place. At this time, Yi Qinyuan did not forget to coax the master. After all, if you don't beg for mercy, when will it take to wait? Master, I know it's wrong. I shouldn't have taken any chances. This time I was in a hurry. I just want to improve as soon as possible. Good to protect you. You always say I'm going to be strong in the future. Too strong to be beaten. How can I live up to your expectations? I just want to get there faster. Can you understand my feelings? Yuan Shu heard the little apprentice say this. I was immediately shocked. Could it be their own pot? It's that he usually puts too much pressure on Xiao Yuanyuan. Yuan Shu thought about it carefully. Will be Yi Qinyuan in the previous life. I made a comparison with the current Yi Qinyuan. In his previous life, Xiao Yuanyuan was in his 20s. But Yuan Shu just discovered this. Xiao Yuanyuan has just come of age. It's already the late stage of Jindan. Could it be that he advanced so quickly? It's because I used to be unintentional. Expressed expectations. Yuan Shu thought of this. I couldn't help frowning. Even if I say it's great in the future. That's for later. Cultivation is gradual. There is nothing like you. The secret land of Lethe. It's a place that even I don't dare to go into. How old are you? Just don't be afraid of death. The master taught Yi Qinyuan to be as good as a stream. Then he stretched out his hand to comfort the master who fried the hair again. This time I was wrong. It won't be in the mirror again. However, master, I rose 2 levels in a row in the face of adversity. 1 step closer to you. Are you happy? Yuan Shu listened, snorted arrogantly with a small face. SOSO. Yi Qinyuan saw the master's arrogant little appearance. I realized that I had already coaxed the master. I couldn't help but smile in my eyes. The master's appearance means that he has been coaxed. The master is really good to coax. It's also cute. at this time of the Yuan dynasty, suddenly remembered what the little apprentice had said before. I don't know what I'm saying. Will this rebel who thinks about turning the sky upside down every day listen? But he still didn't feel at ease. I used to say that I was talking about playing when you covered me in the future. How old are you now? More on that later. You just need to be obedient now. Just be my apprentice. Do you know that you don't risk your life in the future? Yi Qingyuan said with a smile on his face. Listen to the master. In my heart, I was secretly thinking about my stupid master. I'm not going to work hard right now. Where will there be a day when you will be covered? Although the master has now been coaxed by himself, but Yi Qingyuan still felt uneasy. Prepare to use delicious soothing to appease the master. Cautiously opened the Tao master. Don't ignore me, okay? I'm going to make you new snacks. It's the kind you've never eaten before. Yuan Chu didn't realize it yet. He had already been coaxed by the little apprentice. As soon as I heard the new dim sum, the serious little expression on his face almost couldn't hold back. But for the sake of the dignity of their own master, Yuan Chu couldn't hold it back, and he had to hold it. Otherwise, this rebel would not be afraid of him at all. There must be no more lawlessness in the future. Then he said seriously with a little disgust, give you a chance to atone for your crimes. Well, it's really something I haven't eaten. The first half of the sentence is fine. Then the style of half a sentence is almost off. Yi Qingyuan looked at the master's serious little expression. I think it's so cute. If it weren't for the fact that I had just coaxed the master now, I really want to kiss it, but I held back. And now it's still in the fairy gate. I have to restrain myself. Yes, master. Definitely something you haven't eaten. I'll do it for you now. Yi Qingyuan finished speaking. He turned around and walked towards the kitchen. Yi Qingyuan hadn't taken a few steps yet. Yuan Chu suddenly grabbed him. Then came a bad sound. Yi Qingyuan thought that something was wrong with the master. Worriedly, he turned his head and asked the master, what's wrong? Isn't something uncomfortable? Yuan Chu carefully sensed the movement in the stone sea, said with a strange face that he was going to give birth. As soon as this remark came out, Yi Qingyuan's originally worried face, it's become as weird as Yuan Chu. Yuan Chu suddenly reacted. Something seems wrong with that, but it doesn't explain much. Then he took out the white dragon egg from the stone sea. It's he who's going to give birth. Under the feeding of these years, Yuan Chu felt, the white dragon egg should almost be broken in the near future. Exactly the same Ji-Fu tiger from before. It provides the last bit of motivation for the white dragon egg to break the shell. The next second there was a snap. The white dragon egg in Yuan Chu's hand. A crack then cracked in the round egg. See. This Yuan Chu directly placed the white dragon egg in the center of the bed. Then he was at the bedside with Yi Qingyuan. One stares left and one right at him. The dragon doll and the dragon egg has not yet come out. Yuan Chu had already begun to dislike him. Little injustice. Do you think this dragon's baby will look like a snake? If yes, then I won't raise it. I don't like snakes very much. Yi Qingyuan heard Master say this. There is a slight Chinese dialect. Then he explained, Master, generally speaking, divine beasts can only transform when they advance to level 6. Dragons were just born. The claws are not yet fully grown. It should be in the form of a snake. The 6th order is the late stage of the Yuan infant. No wonder the little mandarin duck reached the later stage of his last life. Will ride the white dragon. Thinking of this, Yuan Hina suddenly sighed in his heart. There's a long way to go. That's really something to wait for. Subsequently, the clicking sound coming from the dragon egg became more and more intense. There are more and more cracks on the body. In the end, it finally broke into pieces. And out of the egg, it's not as white as I thought it would be. A small dragon head like a snake. It's a small white and tender baby's hand. Look at the scene in front of you. Neither of the master nor the apprentice knew what was going on. After all, I know the most about Ligo now. It's still sleeping. The two of them could only look down with a solemn face, with a hand stretched out. A dragon doll inside a dragon egg. Next, it is also very domineering to come out of the dragon egg. At this time, he was in addition to the scales on his body, horns on the head and tail behind the back. Looks, it's almost like a normal human baby. It looked like it was holding an eggshell. It's really ignorant and cute. Yuan Chu, after watching the whole process of the birth of the dragon egg, look at the little baby on the bed. The shock in my heart is beyond words. What's going on? But even Yuan Chu was shocked. The dragon horns on the baby's head still indicate his identity. This is the little white dragon that he has raised for several years. It's just a little against the sky. Shapeshifts at birth. Prove that he was born with a sixth-order strength. But that's normal. The blood of the beginning of the Yuan is for the most masculine and rigid creatures. It's an uncle. For so many years. Plus the last bite is the one in the unsheath period. The white dragon holds the eggshell. A pair of big eyes first looked at Yi Qinyuan. Then I took a look at Yuan Chu. Although I know it in my heart, Yi Qinyuan is his own contractor. It's a pity to compare with the fragrant and soft young lady. This contractor is not very important. Then he jumped directly into Yuan Chu's arms. Cute, shouted sister. Hugged Yi Qinyuan and saw the scene in front of him. The whole face was directly blackened with the naked eye. Reach out and want to take this little cub. Take it away from the master. But he was dodged by a dodge. Sure enough, girls have little resistance to cute things. At first, he looked at the little white dragon like this. The little dislike for him in my heart before. It's gone. Holding him is simply lovely. Performed a truth scene on the spot. It's so cute. I want to raise a small injustice. I'm going to raise you. Don't you want to do something? Go, go, go. Remember to warm up some milk. This kid is definitely going to eat. The little white dragon heard Yuan Chu say this. Then he raised his head and glanced at Yi Qinyuan defiantly. A sweet smile appeared on his face in the next second. It's natural to talk about having a baby. To drink grandma. Yi Qinyuan looked at the scheming little cub in front of him. It's not just the face that goes dark. Even the air pressure in the whole body is low. When he was still an egg, he accepted the inheritance. Even if you don't remember it all, it certainly won't be this ignorant look. He must have done it on purpose. Then he reached out again. Wanted to take this little cub. Slipped up from the master. But he was dodged by the white dragon. It's also a sixth-order divine beast. Although it looks like it's just that big a fart. But he is still very flexible. The white dragon, after dodging, turned around and looked at Yuan Chu with wide eyes. Complained about Sister Dao. I'm afraid that Yuan Chu will look at the little white dragon like this. The motherly heart in her heart suddenly overflowed. Hold the little white dragon in front of you. Staring at Yi Qinyuan in front of him, he smiled and said, "What are you doing? Hurry up, I'm going to play with him for a while. The white dragon will be guarded by someone." I couldn't help but look back very arrogantly again. Provoked Yi Qinyuan. Yi Qinyuan pursed his lips slightly. Looked at the scheming little cub in front of him. Silent. But then something came to mind. He squinted and laughed. Immediately after that, take advantage of the place and not pay attention. In an instant, the white dragon slipped out of his arms. Explained the Taoist master. He doesn't have clothes yet. I'm going to get him dressed. I'll play with you again. The little white dragon suddenly changed venues. I couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. The little white dragon understood. If he is taken away by the big devil behind him, I don't think there's any good fruit to eat. Immediately looked at Yuan Chu with teedy eyes. Said, pitifully, sister. Yuan Chu saw this. I couldn't help but feel distressed and said, "You put him down quickly. I'll go get his clothes ready." The little white dragon then began to struggle to his feet. Yi Qinyuan didn't care. At this time, the little cub who was still making noise in his hands. Look at the master in front of you. Comfort the Taoist master not to worry. He is my contract beast. I have something to say to him. I heard Yi Qinyuan say this at the beginning. Originally, I was a little unwilling. But think about it. The little white dragon can transform as soon as it is born. It's a little weird indeed. You should also ask Xiao Yuan to ask carefully. Yuan Chu thought of this. He spoke no more. The little white dragon saw this. Hurriedly howled loudly. That's really sad for the hearer. The listener was in tears. Yi Qinyuan walked quickly towards the door. I'm afraid that the master will hear this little cub howl like this. Soft-heartedness stopped himself. The cry of the little white dragon. As Yi Qinyuan walked outside, it came to an abrupt end. Looked up at Yi Qinyuan's lovely face. Made an extremely unbeaten expression. What are you doing? I think you're jealous that I'm cuter than you. Now the master is not around. Yi Qinyuan wouldn't be very polite to this little thing. Stared at him with displeasure. Looks like you remember a lot. Then I want you to remember the most important point. He's mine. Let me see you pounce on him again. I'll put you in the spirit beast bag. And the white dragon is really a newborn calf at this time. Not afraid of tigers. Completely reckless. Honestly said, you're not. It's not yours yet. I'm going to be with him too. When I grow up, I have to rest with him. This passage directly touched Yi Qinyuan's bottom line. The next second, he didn't say a word. Led the white dragon into the Zi. The white dragon that was thrown to the ground inside the Zi. I wanted to shout a few words of dissatisfaction. You can see Yi Qinyuan's gloomy face. And when that look of murder. In an instant, it was coaxed. Said Mimi resignedly. What are you doing? We have signed a contract of life. Bai Long thought that these words could suppress Yi Qinyuan. But who knows his next second? A dagger appeared directly in his hand. The murderous aura spread all over the body. What if you sign a life contract? You're trying to rob my master. As the saying goes, those who know the times are Junjia. Seeing that the other party is really going to slaughter himself, the little white dragon was immediately honest. Immediately get down on your knees. Obediently said, I was joking. By the way, I recognize another dad. Daddy is so good. Sister Xiaochu should be yours. The little white dragon was after he finished speaking. Tears flowed into my heart. Hope for the stars before. I hope the moon finally waits for the time to break the shell. I thought I could pursue a small junior high school. But it's really a blessing. Who would have thought of dying before leaving the school? This contractor is too murderous. Facing me as a baby. You can even threaten me here with a dagger. Yi Dian Yi Shun Yuan couldn't hear the little white dragon's inner monologue. Otherwise, Tai Tai took a dagger and poked a few holes in his body. But hear what the other person says. The mood is still a lot happier. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but raise slightly. The little white dragon looked at Yi Qinyuan, and it turned cloudy. I couldn't help but mumble in a low voice. I'm not the one with the bad eyes of oldly. Your thoughts on Sister Xiaochu. I know everything in Dan for the past few years. Even if the little white dragon muttered quietly. But it was still discovered by the keen Yi Qinyuan. Yi Qinyuan just said what you said. The murderous aura that refilled the air. Instantly let the little white dragon on his back. Holding his little tail, he shivered and said that it was nothing. I'm just saying. I'll help you pursue Sister Piggy in the future. Yi Qinyuan suddenly took a step forward at this time. Then he squatted down. This scared the white dragon a lot. Turn around and run. Can be held down by Yi Qinyuan's hand. Immediately afterwards, Yi Qinyuan asked inexplicably, What did you just call me? The white dragon heard a voice behind him. It was like a whisper of death. But now he is being held down by the other party. I can't run if I want to. Crying and chirping, he said, Daddy. You will be my father from now on. Then what do you call master? Yi Qinyuan then questioned again. Yi Qinyuan just finished speaking. The dagger that had just been put away in his hand reappeared. It was directly against the back of the white dragon's neck. The white dragon felt a chill on the back of his neck. My mind suddenly brightened. From now on, he will be my dear. Nyang Yi Qinyuan heard by Long say this. I don't know what comes to mind. It was strangely appeased. He then retracted his dagger and stood up. But it was when Bai Long just breathed a sigh of relief. Yi Qinyuan smiled and said, if you dare to do something bad, I'm going to kill you even if I'm seriously injured. The white dragon saw this. Hurriedly nodded again and again. Say you know. Then he asked without fear of death. Then can I go to my mother's kiss now? Yi Qinyuan is here. How could it be possible to let this scheming little cub out? Let him go out and file a complaint. You've just been sentenced. The realm is unstable. Let's cultivate well in Tianju first. As for going out, there is no hurry. You're going to go out later. Remember to change your clothes before going out. If you don't want to wear clothes, then you don't need to keep this dragon scale anymore. Yi Qinyuan was leaving this sentence as a reminder. After the actual threat, he snorted and left the Zi. The white dragon had just been threatened. How dare you oppose it in front of Yi Qinyuan this time? I can only nod my head again and again. After Yi Qinyuan left the Zi, only then did he dare to complain unwillingly. I'm a dragon. They actually asked me to get dressed. It's really good. No one is not dragon-like. But I can't beat him now. Woo, wait. I'll let my mother only like me in the future. Fortunately, Yi Qinyuan has already gone out. Otherwise, I would have heard this. I can't help but come back with an education of love. After the white dragon broke its shell, the master and apprentice stayed in the 10,000 Swords sect for a few more days. He was ready to leave for the empire. But before leaving, Machi was still very uneasy when he heard the wind. I told him at the door for a while. Yi Qinyuan listened carefully on the side. Every now and then, he nods. I promise that I will take good care of my master. In the distance, he seemed to be listening quietly. In fact, he was complaining in his heart. Uncle, you're really cultivating Xiao Yuanyu and to be a daddy. A little more detailed. I could be in bed all day. Don't do anything. Tacitly listen to the monks, even if there is a lot of anxiety in their hearts. The master and apprentice finally left. On the way back, Yuan Chu specially changed to a flying spirit weapon. Looked at the little apprentice who was reading a book in front of him. Alas, small grievances. Why, you say? The white dragon ate my blood. There are 6 orders in a painting. But that white tiger, I give him a drop of blood every day. Why hasn't he woken up yet? Yi Qinyuan heard the master's tone. There is an ingredient of envy. Smile slightly. Reassure the Tao master at ease. The white tiger will wake up. He's just because the injuries he suffered before were too severe. So it's still asleep. Yuan Chu heard the little apprentice say this. Also nodded. Thought. It seems that he will work harder to heal the white tiger in the future. After all, who doesn't want to have a sassy mount? And Yi Qinyuan suddenly asked the master at this time, why don't you use the heavenly porridge? Isn't he faster? This immediately embarrassed Yuan. I didn't know how to answer for a while. It's impossible to tell the little apprentice that he's hiding from the enemy. Although Jun Lu Yang was successfully plotted by himself last time, but it's the character of that guy who will be revenged. It's better to be cautious. The devil knows if he's gone. Maybe you're still hanging around. But it's better to be bored and go. After all, I don't want to see him again. But sometimes, the more you don't want them, the more things will come into place. At the beginning of the year, he was about to open his mouth to explain something. A cool sound. Suddenly it reached his ears. This little girl should be taking this seat. Right, not small poke. This sudden sound surprised both of them. Compared to Yi Qinyuan's unknown reason, Yuan Chu was a big face. The enemy shouted and walked away. Just shouted out the flying magic weapon that the two of them were riding. Then came the attack. Fortunately, both of them escaped without danger. Jun Lu Yang stood in midair. looked at Yuan Chu, who ran out with a kind face, laughing and meeting again. Xiao Chu. Before, I just heard the voice. It made Yuan Chu feel bad. This time I saw the deity. Directly made Yuan Chu crazy. Why is this guy so haunted? And how did he know my name? Jun Lu Yang looked at the little girl in front of him, thinking back to what happened to me in those 10 days. In order to be able to come to this little girl early, I lay in the mountains for more than 10 days. Only then did the light of bliss in the body be eliminated. This time is not only exposed to the sun and rain, it's being gnawed by spirit animals. They couldn't move. Jun Lu Yang can be the position of demon venerable. Naturally, he is not a reckless man. After being active, didn't break into the 10,000 Swords sect to find Yuan Chu at the first time, but in the vicinity, began to inquire about the news of this little girl. With the more you know, Jun Lu Yang's interest in Yuan Chu became stronger and stronger. So much so that after being so humiliated, see each other again, didn't kill the killer at the first time. Yi Qinyuan came out, protected in front of the master for the first time. Judging by the master's previous reaction, the man in front of him was obviously not a good person. After all, who is a good person? As soon as you meet, you can do it directly. And with his own superior divine sense, I can't feel the other party's cultivation. This made Yi Qinyuan couldn't help but be more cautious. This shows that the person in front of him is more powerful than the leader. The army was established at the beginning of the Yuan dynasty. Lu Yang didn't do it again. There was no rashness. Prepare to go 36 meters for the upper meter. Then the voice was transmitted to the little apprentice. This man was distracted. We are not opponents. Walk to the Zi. Yi Qinyuan nodded. The next second, my mind moved, but did not enter. I suddenly found out at the beginning of the Yuan dynasty, the space where the two of them were located within a radius of 100 miles. All turned purple. Even the white clouds overhead turned into eerie magic clouds. The discovery made Yuan Chu's already bad face. It's getting more and more ugly. Oops. This product actually opened up the field as soon as we met this time. In addition to the master of the field, everyone else will be suppressed. And it's like a secret place. Mustard space cannot be used. This makes an already difficult situation. It's become even more incomprehensible. Yuan Chu saw this. You know, the chances of escape are slim. Then he stood in front of the little apprentice. The expression on his face was very solemn. Abuchibiki stood behind me. This man. It's the one who wanted to leave a mark on me last time. Don't be reckless. This sentence of Yuan Chu. It's like lighting a torch from a powder keg. In an instant, Yi Qinyuan's originally calm mood was made, turned into anger. It's that he wants to forcibly double cultivate with his master. Yuan Chu did not notice the little apprentice's somewhat distorted expression behind him, nodding. That's right, he shouldn't kill me, because he was interested in my body. I'll stop him first. You run quickly. Yuan Chu didn't say this. Yi Qinyuan wouldn't think about running either. But then again, Yi Qinyuan won't be able to run away. You have to fight with each other on the spot. Although the meaning of the beginning of the Yuan, the other party is on his body. The immortal demon initiates are interested in this. But Yi Qinyuan misunderstood. And does it matter? Obviously not important. Yi Qinyuan, this will. The anger in my heart was like a volcanic eruption, crazy surging. At this time, the eyes are even more eerily red. Jun Lu Yang. At this point, I don't know what will happen to me next. Looked at Yi Qinyuan behind Yuan Chu. Laughed at this person. It's the person who had a weekend with you before. But I don't like it. Good looking. The man is good too. This seat will kill him first. Take you again. Ogawa, don't worry. I'm still willing to marry you. Jun Lu Yang's words. Let Yi Qinyuan be angry this time. I couldn't help but laugh angrily. Then he took a step forward very arrogantly. Murderous hum. I don't know who will kill me if you want to kill me. Seeing that the other party was suddenly so brave, Jun Luyang was afraid that the other party was a pig and a tiger. Then he took a serious look at the other party. Just a glance. Yi Chenyuan's cultivation and ancient spirit. Jun Luyang knew it in an instant. Immediately laughed. How? With you, a teenage doll, you still want to resist. I advise you to give up. Don't waste your wasted work. In the end, the death was ugly. After all, when this seat began to cultivate, I'm afraid your grandfather hasn't been born yet. Yuan Chu looked at his little apprentice. It's going to be mad to death. The palms of my hands couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. They simply can't beat each other. Xiao Yuan, how could this still irritate him so much? Yi Chenyuan after the provocation. Then he took out a bottle of elixir, sneered and said more arrogantly and provocatively, yes. Old and shameless is for thieves. Junior, this will send you where you need to go. Jun Luyang saw Yi Chenyuan's move. Intuition as a strong man. He keenly felt the slightest inappropriateness. But when you see Yi Chenyuan, when you swallow the pill in your mouth, I still can't help but laugh at his inadequacy. Even if you eat it, it is possible in a short period of time. Du Shangdan, who grows a big realm. Nor is it an opponent of this seat. But suddenly thunder appeared in the sky, made Jun Liuyang's laughter come to an abrupt end. Because he heard. The thunder was completely different from the usual thunder. It's more like when an immortal cultivator crosses the catastrophe. The thunder to be encountered. Yuan Chu didn't know though. What did his little apprentice just eat? But look at the situation. It's not a good thing to eat. Look at him worriedly. I hope that Xiao Gang knows what he is doing. Yi Chenyuan was after the entrance. The breath in his body suddenly skyrocketed. Smiled slightly. Who told you that I ate Du Shengdan? I eat raw elixir. This pill was Yi Chenyuan after curing Su Haiyue. The Su family paid him. It is a 7-pin elixir. The probability of causation can be increased by half. Although Jun Luyang didn't know what the other party wanted to do. But I still can't help but laugh at what. Do you want to rob the shadows right now? You think that with that little promotion of Vowel's thunder, just want to split my field. The joke faced Jun Luyang's ridicule. Yi Chenyuan didn't care at all. Laugh and you'll find out later. Compared to Yi Chenyuan's calmness, Yuan Chu listened to the little apprentice after speaking. Completely panicked. Xiao Yuan was born not long after he was born in the late stage of Jindan. I actually want to cross the catastrophe at this time. How can it be? Isn't this a joke with your own life? As the thunder in the sky became more and more terrifying, the kind of coercion that belongs to the heavenly Tao, it also gradually spreads, made the sense of crisis in Jun Liuyang's heart more and more intense. He decided not to push anymore. The demonic energy in his hand surged. Subsequently, the power of the field within the field was mobilized. I want to make the kid in front of me splash blood here instantly. Because the little apprentice had already swallowed the pill. Yuan Chu can't redeem it now, even if he wants to. I can only do my best to protect the little apprentice. Seeing Jun Luyang wants to do it, Yuan Chu hurriedly rushed forward to stop it. But Yuan Chu just took a step forward. Was stopped by Yi Chenyuan. The clouds in the sky have gathered. The first thunderstorm was unstoppable. Bang down. Just this first blow. Let Jun Liuyang's originally calm expression. Instantly it became solemn. This is really a thunderstorm for the promotion of vowels. How just the first course? It has the power to shake my field. Isn't there something wrong? Because the field was struck by a thunderbolt. This made Jun Luyang the killing move that he was originally going to release. It was interrupted in an instant. But even so, Yi Chenyuan was still injured because of this. A mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth. Yuan Chu hurriedly turned around and helped the little apprentice. For the first time in my life, I felt powerless. In a hurry, I want to help Yi Chenyuan wipe the blood from his mouth. However, the more I rubbed it, the more I wiped. Why are you so stupid? How can you be when you are not ready? I said. Yu Yuan Chu said and said. Tears flowed down my face.